Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing a brief and spoiler-free review of the new Solo movie. I finally got to the theater, and I know a lot of you have been asking me on social media what I thought of the movie, so here we are. I will be doing a way more detailed review with spoilers and lots of talk on my podcast. This coming Sunday, another episode of Chit Chat with Cass will be out with my dad, of course. We are reviewing all of the Star Wars movies, and we saw Solo, so we included that into the mix as well. So if it's already posted, I will post a link here and in the description. If not, it is coming this Sunday on this channel, as well as SoundCloud and iTunes. So, the Solo movie. This is a Star Wars story movie, one of the, side little stories, and it is based around the fan favorite character, Han Solo. So, if you know me, you probably know I went into this movie expecting to hate it. I've said this for months and months. Honestly, since they announced that they were making this movie, I was super skeptical. I didn't think that they were going to do it justice. I thought that they were going to mess something up. So going into the theater, I was very worried about what was going to happen, if I was going to like it. I didn't think I was going to like it. My expectations were super low. And I left the theater thinking, wow, I actually enjoyed that movie. Now, is it my, #1 favorite Star Wars movie? No. And it wasn't perfect, but I actually enjoyed the movie. I thought they did a pretty good job on it, which shocks me because I had such low expectations for this movie. I was genuinely surprised when I left the theater and enjoyed it. I was not sold on Alden Ehrenreich when they announced that he was casted as young Han Solo, but I have to say I think he did a really good job. I do enjoy his acting, and I can kind of see him as a young Han Solo. Is he exactly like Harrison Ford? No. He's not like a Harrison Ford clone or anything, but I think that he does do a good job at bringing a youthful image to this character that everybody knows so well. Donald Glover was amazing as a young Lando Calrissian. He is Billy D. Williams. In one of the first shots you see him, you don't even see him, you hear his voice first, and the way he says his lines, his delivery, he has Billy D. Williams down perfectly. I think he did a fantastic job at playing a young Lando and was probably one of the highlights to this movie for me. Also, the guy that plays Chewbacca, I believe his name is Jonas, he worked with Peter Mayhew for Force Awakens, so he really has the Chewbacca mannerisms down, and I think he does a really great job at the character. Of course, Peter Mayhew will always be Chewbacca, but I think it's really good that when they had to recast him, he worked with Peter Mayhew. He got the Chewbacca vibe down, because it's a lot more than just slipping the mask on, you have to kind of act through the mask, and you kind of have to have those mannerisms that are so familiar with that character. But honestly, as a whole, I think the entire cast did really good. I didn't have any issues with anybody's acting. I thought everyone was really great with the characters that they were given. As a whole, the entire cast was good for me. Ron Howard as a director, I do think that he did a great job. It's very visually pleasing, although I will say that some parts of the movie were fairly dark. I don't know if that's the aesthetic they were going for, but there were some parts that it was kind of hard to see what was going on because the film was a little on the darker side. But I do think that Ron Howard did a good job. This movie does not feel like 3 different directors worked on it. The first 2 guys, and then obviously it shifted to Ron Howard. I don't know if reshoots helped that whole vibe, but the movie flowed together really good. A lot of times when you have reshoots on a film, it can pretty much tank the movie, but I didn't get that feel with this film. I felt like it all flowed nicely and that it had the same vision, so maybe the reshoots helped with that. In this movie, you get a lot of things that Star Wars fans has heard about Han Solo's history for decades. Things that have been talked about for years and years, you get to finally see in this movie. Things relating to Chewbacca, to Lando, to the Falcon, things like that. You get to see these things that have been talked about but never shown really before. Of course, some of the things had been talked about in books or shown in comics, things like that, but to see it up on the big screen is new, of course. And they did tweak some things here and there. It wasn't exactly the same as some previous source material that some of us may be familiar with, but you still got to see some of those very important scenes that I kind of had like a checklist for this movie, if you will, of moments I would like to see in it, and they did give me several of those moments. Not really a spoiler, but Han and Kira, played by Emilia Clarke, do have a history in this movie, and that of course adds to their past and the storyline progression of the movie as a whole, and I did enjoy their chemistry, you could say, and their characters as well. I don't feel like there were many like slow moments in this movie. Like, to me it felt like even if there was like a brief little slow moment, it peaked back up to something exciting or something adventurous fairly quickly, so it is a very entertaining film. And it doesn't have any, I guess you could say, boring moments, because sometimes there are just like super slow moments, and this movie didn't have that for me personally. It was like this adventure, and then okay, a little bit, oh, back to this one, and now this. Like, it kept you going throughout the course of the entire film. I usually spoil things in these reviews, so I'm trying to hold back the certain things I say. I will spoil everything in the podcast if you guys want more details, but I'm trying to keep this one spoiler free. So going into this movie specifically, I was preparing myself to compare it to Rogue One, because not only is that another one of the Star Wars stories, it's not part of the main saga. I don't care for Rogue One as much as some people do. I know it's a fan favorite for a lot of people, but I like the second half of that movie, not so much the first. So going into Solo, I was immediately going to compare it to Rogue One. I told myself that I would leave the theater and say which one I liked better. And granted, I've only seen Solo once, I think I left the theater liking Solo better. The problems that I had with Rogue One, I didn't have with Solo. The issues that make me not really care for the beginning of Rogue One, I once again did not have those problems with Solo. Solo kept me entertained, and as I said, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I did enjoy this movie, considering how much I thought I was going to dislike it. In this movie, we do have like references or ties to the original trilogy, which I always appreciate those little things. We even have some ties to the prequels. So that's really adding like every source of Star Wars into a movie, which is good that like Disney is trying to connect everything instead of like, you know, keeping it separate into its own little category. But some of the things that they included were very interesting and things I was not expecting. So, all in all, I did enjoy this Solo movie. I was completely shocked that I liked it because I was convinced I was not going to care for this movie, and it proved me wrong. So as I said, guys, coming this Sunday will be a much more detailed review with me and my dad talking about Solo, the whole movie, the whole cast, spoilers, all that fun stuff. So be sure to subscribe to this channel, and that podcast will be posted on Sunday, as well as SoundCloud and iTunes. If it's already posted, I will be sharing the links on here as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this little spoiler-free review of the Solo movie, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!